a very well seasoned corporate leader who has been able to transcend, I would say, beautifully the academia, corporate ladder, as well as I would say practitioner, because a lot of what he's actually going to be talking about this afternoon is also work that he is personally involved in. We have circulated Dr. Dawes Taranike's bio, so we will not waste a lot of time talking a whole lot about it, but he's really very well established. Dr. Taranike, would you kindly take the load your slides and give us the presentation? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Nyepi. I would like to start by thanking you for that introduction, and also to thank Ecohealth International Africa chapter for inviting me to be the guest speaker today. As a way of introduction, I am Dawes Taranike, and I've been involved on this project. I'm the co-founder of the Integral Kumusha, together with my wife, Christina, whom you will see in the presentation. And we have been on this project since 2017. And I'm so glad to share our transformative journey with you. So I'm going to put up my presentation now, and we can take it up from there. Can you see the presentation yet?
Yes, it was showing, but the screen disappeared.
Yeah, came and disappeared.
Okay, let me click here and show and put it on slideshow. I'm trying to put it on slideshow.
Yeah, we can see it now.
There you are.
We can see. Yeah.
Thank you very much. As I've said, I'm Dawes Taranike. I'm going to be sharing with you about our Integral Kumusha on the topic that says creating regenerative local economies to transform individuals and communities from poverty to prosperity via economics. And I think for some of you and many of you, the word economics is a new word. And I would like to just explain it a little bit so that when we go through the presentation, we are all together. Economics contains two words, Naka, which is a Shona word for legacy, and nomics, which is a shortcut for economics. So economics is a radical economic system which is based on Ubuntu values and anchored also on African indigenous practices, blend, of course, with exogenous knowledge, which has emerged in our quest to come up with an economic system that responds to our needs locally and also give us an opportunity to showcase what we can as Africans and from the Southern African Hemisphere, and also I think from an Ubuntu perspective, how we resonate with this and how we can build our own economy. And it is very important that we are talking about regenerative economies, because we know that the conventional and traditional economy that we have inherited, which is mainly capitalism, has some areas that do not resonate with us. And also, I will demonstrate as I make the presentation why we have sought an alternative economic system. And this system, from where we stand, promotes an economy of well-being. And I have also put it as an ecological economy. The system combines the eco in ecology and the eco in economy, which is the reason why I'm calling it the ecological economy. So as I share our Integral Kumusha case story, I will touch on a number of points. The first one is, what are the compelling reasons for us to come up with this innovation? And look at issues to do with health and prosperity. And Professor Chimbari has touched about the issues of health in his introductory presentation, and also to share from theoretical perspective the integral Kumusha model. How does it sit? What is the underpinning concept? And also go into some detail with economics. And I have put there new wine in new bottles. And I've put that deliberately because I'm sure some of us are aware of the story of new wine in old bottles, which is a biblical story. And we're saying if we are changing the model to a regenerative way of generating wealth, we also need a systems change. We cannot use the same system that got us to where we are today. Hence, the reason for a different paradigm in terms of economics and the way we present and our thinking. We also look at rethinking education and knowledge creation. We have been socialized to think that education, particularly from where I come from, education happens primarily in the classroom. But we're seeing beyond that, and we're saying education and knowledge creation is fundamental for the sustainability of this innovation. And I'll share with you the concept of the inside-out communiversity, and I will explain why inside out and what communiversity stands for. Having done that, I'll also share what we have achieved to date and the impact to our community, the society, and other places. For us, ladies and gentlemen, to sit in Africa with statistics that show that almost half of our population live in poverty, according to the statistics from the data in 2022. From 1.3 to 1.4 billion people, more than 500 million people living in poverty. And that should make us lose sleep. And we know that Africa contributes more than 60% of the world's extreme poor. These are statistics and realities that should make us feel uncomfortable, feel and sit on the edge of our seats and think seriously how we can change things. The serious nutrition insecurity, issues to do with health, and 200 million people in Africa, which is almost 20% of the population, are undernourished. And not talking about those who cannot afford a decent diet. And when you look at the targets for 2030, Africa is battling to meet those. And we still have unprecedented food crisis, according to those reports that I have indicated there. It is also concerning, ladies and gentlemen, that we the nature in which the planet is currently. And from where we stand, contributors to the ecological crisis that we have today is our economic systems, which are exploitative in nature, very extractive and highly consumptive, where we focus mainly on growth and growth without boundaries. And the relationship between the economic structures and planetary health have for a long time been ignored. And this is the reason why we look at this and say, now we need to bring this to the fore. And our agriculture is also in a crisis. As we stand, 60 years of farmable soil has been damaged by unsustainable agricultural practices. And it is also known that 20% of the planet soil already is destroyed, running out of farmable soil in the next 20 years. And the real damage, 30% of that farmable soil have been lost in the last 40 years. So if we don't do anything, ladies and gentlemen, we have a much bigger, not only with the planet, but issues to do with the food availability, food security, and also poverty levels going into the future. And for that reason, as we look at eradicating poverty and hunger, for us, the top priority is how do we fight the poverty of the mind? And donor handouts, and you see people actually fighting to look poorer than the next so that they get these handouts, which is a very unhealthy situation. And this has created a dependence syndrome, which we need to address. And this is what has brought us to come up with an innovation right in the grassroots, in where the affected people are, working with them to say, how do we empower the grassroots? How do we engage the youth in agribusiness? How do we utilize available resources, particularly land and people? How do we enhance the health of the soil? And how do we regenerate our economies? And we have come up with a social innovation that we call the integral Kumusha. Kumusha is a Shona resource and asset that we can utilize. And through research, we have come up with this model and concept that we now call the integral Kumusha model, where we are transforming homesteads into viable socio-economic entities. And we have gone back to homesteads. You know, as some of you may be fully aware, homesteads originally have been the anchor of economic activities, borrowing from the Greek word
You're breaking. We can't hear you, Doc.
I think we lost him momentarily because his slides are still showing.
Now he's gone.
Network.
I'm trying to call him. Can you bring back your slides, Doc?
hello? Hello? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
we had lost you. Can you share your slides again?
Sure. I see there's one screen that is.
I can hear you.
Let me see if I can. Oh,
We don't have your slides right now,
What
so you
is-
need to share them.
I'm still on share screen. I can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
No. So I suggest that you
No.
just you stop sharing and share again.
Okay. Let me. Second.
And as you do that, remember to put the option for sound.
Sure. Oh. I can't get out. I can't see the.
Are you still sharing on your side?
Yes, I am. Let me see now. Seem to have come to right. Let me close my presentation and can you see me?
Yes, we
Oh,
can
hear
see
me.
you. Yeah, and we can hear you, but we can't see your presentation.
Yes, we can see you and hear you, David.
Right. Let me, because I can't see both.
Need to share the presentation from my side, my end.
Yes, if you have it, no Kwanda, maybe that is the best.
Just a second.
Make
Can I-
sure you
can-
choose. Hmm?
Huh? But I can't see.
So no Kwanda is going to share from your side, but I would
Okay.
like no Kwanda to remember the option of the sound. Thank you, no Kwanda.
Okay, I'll have to share again when we get to that part. I think we were.
You can see. Go to slide 5, no Kwanda, and put slideshow there.
Just a second.
The beauty of technology.
Are you having challenges, no Kwanda?
That just happened. Okay, just a second.
Let me switch off.
Are you winning, no Kwanda? No Kwanda, are you managing? Are you there, no Kwanda? I think no Kwanda had been kicked off, but she's joining. I just called her.
Seems I've lost both of them.
I just called her. She's connecting the presentation. It's loading.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Go ahead, Doc. That's where you were.
It's been quiet. I don't know if I'm the one kicked out.
I think it's the network connectivity.
Yeah, it's not been helpful. Okay.
Yeah, we apologize about that,
We can
colleagues.
hear you.
Oh, okay. That's good. I was just calling him. I think he's just joining now. Have you managed, Doc?
I'm back now.
Yes, please take it from this slide. That's where you were before.
Sure. So yeah, can I, is Nopanda moving it for me, or I am moving it?
No, she can move it for you. Can you move it,
Sure.
Nokwanda? Next
Let's
slide.
move to the next slide, Nopanda. My apologies for the technical hitch from this side. So this is our vision. To create an integral ecosystem of transformed and prosperous rural homesteads and communities for the transformation of Africa and the globe. And our mission is in two parts: to eradicate poverty, hunger, and marginalization by transforming rural homesteads, and also to restore and enhance and create an economic system which resonates with us. Let's move on to the next slide. And this is the model that we work with. At the center is we use the integral development approach, which is holistic and which incorporates, for this model, we incorporate nature, we incorporate culture, we incorporate science and economics. And we do that because we want to balance our operation going into the future. And for nature, we look at regenerative agriculture, which we focus mainly on farming and nature. And we look at dryland farming and irrigation farming, livestock farming. We also do apiculture, and we do horticulture as well. And on the regenerative culture, it is so important that we regenerate our culture as we move forward, where our activities actually focus on our African cultural lifestyles, our rural tourism, and also our heritage, which we have here. And this forms part of our developmental economy, building upon our self-sufficiency approach. We also have science and technology. As I have mentioned in the beginning, we need to be doing research, we need to be co-creating knowledge, we need to be improving. And in this area, we see how we can leverage on science and technology, and that's where all packaging processes and issues to do with green energy, the solar, ICT and communication are all housed. And our trade and economics pillar, which is the regenerative creation, looks at processing and selling and marketing our produce. In the rural community, we do a lot of processing of those products that the produce that we make, that we produce, we convert them, we add value so that we can then have organically produced products which are health, because issues of health are very important. And we run with the theme that we grow what we eat and we eat what we grow. And we also sell what we grow to the community at reasonable prices and also beyond our community. And below the next slide will show you the various activities that we do in each respective regenerative focus or sphere. If we move to the next slide. Nokwanda? Yes, this is the first one is to do with soil health and organic farming, whether in drip irrigation or in dryland farming, or in animal health. We are concerned with the health of the soil. And we know it is so important that if we lose the health of the soil, then we lose the health of the people and the health of the economy as well. And you see there in our regenerative culture, we try to unlock and realize our potential, our gifts, our talents, so that we see the hidden geniuses within our people and the community. The next slide. Yes, in regenerative knowledge creation, universities, we work with other interested parties. We make our own organic manure. We don't wait for people to buy synthetic fertilizers. We make them, we produce and sell as well. And as we create wealth, we convert the possibilities and the potentials that we have into value that will help us to earn a living and to help others earn a living as well. The next slide. This is part of the farming of our traditional crops that we do, our traditional grains. And the picture there shows my wife as well, Christina, who is actually on the ground, and she's the one who will make the things happen. The next slide. So we are, to a very large extent, gender-driven. There you see our drip irrigation, our high-value crops, showing our ginger there and our garlic crops, all being done by women, and also Christina leading the way. The next slide. And this is a very interesting community project, which Christina and the women have initiated, the GOAT project. They started as 8 members, and now the project has grown to more than 30 members. And men and youth have also joined this. They've seen the way of empowering, and this is a self-funded project. They don't get money from donors, but they fund themselves from the proceeds they get from working at the Integral Kumusha. They save and enhance their lives and livelihoods. So they're taking control of their lives. Next slide. Next slide. And that's the vermicompost manufacturing plant. And that's that team that you are seeing there visited from Plumtree to come and learn how to make vermicompost. This is an organic fertilizer that we're using. Next slide. And I was talking about economics. In the interest of time, I'm just going to looking at the pillars that we look at when we talk of economics, which is relationships, relationship with people, relationship with nature, relationship with the divine powers. And we look at stewardship, people as stewards of their culture, stewards of their development, and custodians of their heritage and identity. We also look at issues to do with teamwork and knowledge creation, and how we can build social capital and social economy, and all kept up with how we build wealth in a communal way and also individually. This, to us, this is an area that would need more time to talk about, but in a nutshell, this is a regenerative economic framework that we have seen supporting us. From where we stand, the economics is the software of the hardware, which is the integral Kumusha concept and model that we do. So they are intricately interdependent, and we work together, work them together so that they deliver the value that we expect. And the next slide. Just to demonstrate that when we talk of the economics, we cater for indigenous wisdom and knowledge, and also incorporate exogenous knowledge, bringing all that together. That enhances the economic framework that we operate with. The next slide. And we view learning and improvement and co-creation of knowledge as a primary responsibility at Integral Kumusha and in the community. And we cannot be sustainable if we are not learning together, if we are not sharing knowledge together, and if we are not improving on a daily basis. And we realize that it's so important that we decluster and redefine education, so that people don't think that if they have not been to school, they are not educated. And we bring the community together for people to learn to look at their problems and come up with solutions, and come up with programs that will move them from where they are to where they intend to be, which is our programmium. And at the same time, do research. We work in conjunction with universities, research institutions, and other interested parties that come out of this process are implemented at the Integral Kumusha, which is our socioeconomic laboratory. So we put all that to test, we validate it and improve what we're doing. So this is a very important cycle that we move with. And that's part of the whole regeneration program that we have. And the next slide. I just want to emphasize on the parties that we work with when we're doing the community action. There's communal learning, and we use the Buyera community and another community to do that. And also institutions like the Arupe Jesuit University, which is a very, very important agroecology program. And we work on issues to do with soil regeneration. And on the social transformation journey, we work with organizations like Catholic University of Zimbabwe, the Great Zimbabwe University, Regen, social regeneration in Africa. And on the research, all the universities and research are employed and utilized. And we also have the social laboratory, which is the Integral Kumusha. We also work with the plant at Great Zimbabwe University, and also the Community Learning Center, which will be established now with the Arupe Jesuit University. The next slide. So these are part of some of the collaborations. We cannot do this transformational journey and worked on our own. We have corporations, we have universities, we have government entities, we have NGOs, including World Vision and them, whom we work together, all contributing towards the transformation of the society and bringing in a new paradigm and working with an economic system that will deliver. The next slide. These are some of the programs. I will not go into detail with every one of them, but we conduct tours. We are on radio every Wednesday to talk about integral commercial and economics. So we dish out as much as we can. We have demonstration programs. We've got apprenticeship programs. We have programs for retirement for those who are retiring and they think they want to go and settle in the rural communities, and also planetary regeneration programs. And we do tailor-make some of the programs to requirements and needs. Next slide. And these are some of the achievements that we have realized to date. We're now moving towards food and nutrition security within the community. We are also creating employment. People are being employed and they are actually looking after their families and enhancing their livelihoods. And we have vibrant economic activities now taking place because of the exchange of ideas, exchange of resources, and everything that is happening in the area. Next slide. It is also important, while we're moving to the final slide, to let you know that to date, we have worked with and hosted more than 20,000 people since we started this project in 2017. And one of the biggest project gathering that we hosted was when we hosted the First Lady of Zimbabwe, Mrs. Auxilia Mnangagwa, during the She for Agric for She Awards, which my wife, commonly known as Maichumuti, was recognized for all this work she is doing. So there is a lot of work, and we have also seen some integral Kumusha concept being implemented by a number of our colleagues within our community and also outside. We can firmly and confirm that we have witnessed more than 20 households being transformed on the integral Kumusha model. So in summary, what we have talked about is the integral Kumusha as a socio-economic innovation that empowers the rural communities and eradicate, not alleviate, to eradicate poverty, hunger, and marginalization. And we envisage regenerative local economies for the well-being of Zimbabwe, Africa, and the world. For this to work, we need an economic framework or system which is regenerative in nature, and hence economics comes in. For those who visit Integral Kumusha, when they come, we take at least 3 hours to move through the Integral Kumusha and the economic concept. And the community need to be learning and generating knowledge and solutions for themselves and seeing opportunities and working opportunities to go in the future. And how do we see our future? The next slide. This is how we see our future in a summarized version. We envisaged transformed and prosperous rural communities. We have seen it happening, driving holistic and integral development in a sustainable way. We have also seen people now refocusing from urban to rural, And we think this can be accelerated as many people get to know about this program. And thank you very much, Ecohealth International, for giving us this opportunity to showcase what we are doing. And we also envisage fully developed economics and other Afrocentric economic models that will help us to transform our societies, transform ourselves, and move into the future. As we come to the end, I will just show a very short video that shows, that gives some testimony of two of our colleagues who visited the Integral Kumusha. Would you click to the next slide and the following slide? And the next one. It's not, I can't hear the voice from this end.
Just
No,
a second.
they-
I'll come again.
Yeah, you need to click with sound.
I've had to compress it to be in time, Prof. Chambari, but I suppose I gave an overview of what we are doing at the Integral Kumusha. My apologies for the
my
technical
vegetables are
hitch.
looking. I use vermifolia, vermicompost, and
Are you
pupti.
getting the sound?
These vegetables are organic,
Yes.
Yes.
and you don't need an umbrella for my chimoti.
It's gone off.
You can use the vegetable leaf. For my chimoti, Integra Kumusha Kubohera.
Right, my name is Solomon Guramatunu. This project, in my view, is the most empowering way to ensure that ordinary people, rural people in Zimbabwe and maybe the rest of Africa, in fact, can change their lives for the better. I think anybody interested in community development or development of rural areas should come here to witness what you are doing, because this is almost revolutionary. As was mentioned by Mercy before, there is no IMF or World Bank here, or people from Europe, from Asia, from the States involved in this program. This is yourselves, black people, black Zimbabweans, having such a powerful, impactful project. So I'm almost your ambassador now, because I'd like to spread this. I'd like to encourage as many people as possible to come and witness this, but not only that, for each one of us to go back to their villages where they grew up and do something similar.
Integral Kumusha, pano pa Maichimuti, na Dr. Taranike. What a breath of fresh air. I think that's the best way to describe this experience. Breath of fresh air, because you are traveling from wherever you are looking for this place. And as I said, you don't need to be told you're almost there. You can see it looks green, it looks fresh, and you see evidence of a diversified production system, a self-regenerating system, name it. So, and I thought, when we talk rural transformation, this must be the foundation of it. Viable rural homesteads, which are not only economically viable, it's also socially viable. I mean, you are here, and you could be anywhere else in the world, actually, because you won't miss anything here. You won't miss anything. I mean, got here, there's full-strength internet, there's running water, renewable energy systems, and a healthy production system, because they're using organic fertilizers. When you look at the crops, you think maybe they're putting in organic stuff, but this is really nature.
I think this is a wonderful experience. It's like almost heaven on earth, I think. It represents everything that I believe in. Everything natural, everything integrated, where things are not departmentalized here. Everything is working together as a whole. I think it's just wonderful. Keep it up.
That's the end of my presentation, Prof. Thank you very much for allowing me the time.
Thank you so much, Doc. At this point, let's open the opportunity for our participants. I see about 49 of them are here to ask any questions or comments. Any questions, comments? I see a hand, Gabriel. You may go ahead.
Carolyn, thank you very much. It was a really interesting presentation. I just wondered, in terms of what you need from the government or a national governance system or kind of human resources to be able to enable this to be used more places. Thanks.
Can I take that, or should I take a couple of questions at the same time?
I think you can take it. I don't see any other hand.
Sure, thank you. From our experience working on this model, we see the government assistance being required, especially when we look at policy implementation and frameworks. One area that we have been concerned about, and I'm sure most of our colleagues who are investing in rural communities get concerned about, issues of tenure and ownership. There is need to ensure that there is some relative security of tenure when someone invests in rural communities, because currently, you know, that doesn't really fully exist, because although there is support within the community through the traditional way, but that can also be supported. And secondly, to ensure that borrowing facilities and incentives are put in place for when you use renewable energy, organic activities, regenerative agricultural practices. If the government comes in and supports those innovators in these areas by providing incentives and also for providing access to capital to scale up, I can foresee that we can actually create huge economic activities in rural communities, and we can even then develop rural industrialization, eco-industrialization. And I need to emphasize eco-industrialization because we don't want to make the same mistakes we have done in developing industries from the past. And there is much value that we can get, especially when we look at the health of the soils, because more than 70% of the soils in rural communities, and that is throughout most of the African countries, are sandy, poor, and they lack organic matter. And we need to address this. And this is an area that if government also can support, we can see the regeneration and transformation taking place faster, better, and even the education of our youngsters and the communities to be incentivized because where people lack knowledge, they will definitely perish. I don't know if that answers your question.
Thank you for the response. I see two more hands, Lambert and Moses, in that order. And Prosper is the third and possibly last. Thank you. Lambert, yes. Well, go ahead, Moses. The other person.
Okay, let's have Prosper first. I'm part of the host, so let me be last. Prosper, go ahead.
I think you're muted.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for a wonderful presentation, Dr. Taranike. I happen to be an executive member of the Buhera Development Forum. So my comment will be in two-pronged approach. First of all, to give an appreciation to the great work that they are doing practically on the ground, especially in addressing the topical environmental social governance, an element of sustainability in line with the SDGs. They have set a tempo for what we call a smart rural model, which we are proud of. And for that, I want to thank you, and also appreciation to the organizers for giving this opportunity. Would love to even participate in more of this opportunity of these events. Thank you so much for that. My comments and reactions will be that perhaps Dr. Taranike for Integra Kumusha and Maichimuti, we would want perhaps to look at documenting these activities that we have done in line with an eco-friendly kind of a rural home, so that they can be replicated as models that can work in the context of emerging markets. So which we find a lot of rural activities being dominant. So I think that is that's my reactions, and I wanted to know or to understand if you have started on that journey, or to what extent have you gone in that journey? Also, maybe also to what extent have you also aligned to some of the models that are going about with regards to the ESG, like in line with the SDGs there, in line with some of the bodies that are regulating elements of climate change, SDG7, life on land, and so forth. To what extent have you done that? Because I feel if you do that, it's going to be a model that can easily be replicated, and it becomes a model that will really address the sustainability part. That's my reactions and questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe we can go on to the next question so that you can then address them both. There was Prosper and then Tatenda, I think. Lambert also, you still have your hands up.
Let's have Tatenda first.
Okay, thank you. I can go first. First of all, thank you very much, Dr. Taranike, for really a great presentation. Let me also attest to the fact that this project, I've seen it a number of times, which makes optimum use of local resources. It really makes use of local resources. I am a beneficiary of IK, Integra Kumusha, and obviously taking advantage of my proximity to IK, also just being a stone's throw from Integra Kumusha. What I wanted to find out is, I know your products, market them locally and also in the country. I don't know whether you have started exporting. And if you are exporting, my interest is in the logistics of actually getting these products from Integra Kumusha to their markets. Are there any constraints which you experience?
Mm-hmm. It's a good question.
Thank you. Is there another question?
Yes.
That I
So my question is linked to what actually the previous speaker, I think it was Mutskiri, talked about. It's about replication. So I'll put it in another way that we have seen the visuals from your home, which are very impressive. And in my presentation, I talked about, how we take communities from informing them until we empower them fully. Empowering them, it means they become independent and start running things on their own. What measures are you putting in place to make sure that we have got another Maichimuti homestead? Not exactly like that, but closer to it, so that you then become surrounded by very empowered people who can run their things independently.
Thank you. Can I take those 3 questions? The
Yes,
first
Doc.
one, from Mr. Msiri.
Lambert, you might need to be muted.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to everybody. Thank you, Doctor. I'd like to ask 3 questions about this Kumusha model, integral model application. Anyway, the first question is, what concrete action we can make in order to prevent the generation of Earth? The second question is, what are the big points of integral Kumusha model? Can I go on?
Yes, your last question, please.
Yes, my last question is, as we are in Lubumbashi currently and our earth is full of minerals and metals, so we'd like to know what we can do, or do you think that the local application of integral Kumusha model can eradicate or reduce the vulnerability of local community? Can I come back again?
Yes. Probably the first one. Start from the first one.
Okay, the first one I'd like to ask if what concrete actions we can do in order to prevent the generation of the earth. If we use,
I'm missing that word, the generation of?
The generation of the earth, if we apply the integral Kumusha model.
Or regeneration of the earth.
Oh, earth. Earth.
The generation.
Yes, earth.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Second question, can I go on?
Yes.
Yes. I'd like to know what are the big points of integral Kumusha model. We'd like to know the big axis, where we can focus if we want to apply the integral Kumusha model.
Okay.
The third question, yes, the third question and the last one. I said, as we are in Lubumbashi, you know, the soil of Lubumbashi, the earth of Lubumbashi is full of metals and minerals. Okay, and now we'd like to ask if you think that the application of integral Kumusha model can eradicate the vulnerability of local communities.
Okay. All right. Let me take a fast journey trying to answer all these questions. The first one, Dr. Mtiri, about documentation. Yes, we document almost everything that we do, and we also upload some of the activities that we do on social media, on YouTube, and even on our website page. we feel we need to contain all this information, and even the radio programs that we do, we document them and continue to generate knowledge from that. And as for registration and recognition with regulatory bodies, yes, this is an area that we are currently pursuing. We have not gotten regulation authority, particularly with organizations that deal with the earth. What do you call it? Environment, EMA. But we have already started engaging them, and we are looking into that. It's something that we have started on. And if I can just combine that with Prof. Chimbari on replication, what measures are we taking so that we can also have my Chimutis? We are working with a number of organizations that are keen to implement what we're doing. For example, we are working with vision. Some of you will know that the approach in the past was to give handouts. But now, since we have started our partnership and we are formalizing it now, we are saying all the people they bring in, and they bring in people from all over Zimbabwe at all levels, from the grassroots to government employees who work with these people, is to facilitate replication of what we are doing to these people, the participants who come, albeit within their capacities. And we don't have a one-size-fits-all. We do give a framework, and people can develop at their pace. My Chimuti, as you rightly put it, is also invited to supervise and to work with emerging my Chimutis or integral Kumushas to provide support, hands-on, or even advice on how things can be done. So that's what we are doing. And we also have other partnerships, as I have indicated, which I did not really go into detail, with private organizations now that are sending their employees to be trained on how to build their own integral Kumushas. So replication, yes, it's happening, but it's multifaceted. We're doing it. And Dr. Mbara talked about exports. Yes, we have a big local market, which we are servicing at the moment. And we had one export order to South Africa, which we followed due process. And this is why we are saying there is need for more incentives, export incentives, but for us then to go beyond that. We are likely to be working with the community in Lesotho, where we will be building capacities for this integral Kumusha as well, which supports what you have talked about, Prof. Chimbari. And we have also colleagues in South Africa and also in Botswana and other African countries like Zambia who would like to work with us. But we are taking this one step at a time. And from our colleague in Lumumbashi, what concrete actions are we taking to ensure regeneration of the earth, if I heard you well? Yes, the concrete action that we are taking to support the regeneration of the earth is to start with the soil health and make sure that we use the regenerative approach that mimics nature. And it is a big subject and topic that we can talk about, but we're doing that through the vermicompost production. We're doing that by growing trees. We're doing that by even using what we have as manure. We don't waste any waste at the homestead. We convert that back into the soil to improve the health of the soil. And the other question was, what big focus areas? For us, big focus areas is what is contained in our model. Look after the health of the soil. Look after, do a system that supports your culture and identity. Generate knowledge and co-create knowledge through peer learning and research. And lastly, focus at wealth creation in an environmentally free practice. I don't know if that covers all the questions that were presented to me.
Yes, thank you
Oh,
very
there's
much,
one you
Professor.
talked about
Yes.
how we can work on the vulnerability of the people in Lumumbashi. I think an answer without site visit will be inadequate. But taking over from what I have said, you need to look at those key focus areas and assess your soils and how you can improve them. Remember, the health of people's health depend on the health of the soil. Our focus is feed the soil so that the soil can feed the plants, not vice versa. And we strongly feel if we go by this mantra, everything starts with the land and how we work it. But without first-hand practical analysis of the soils that you are referring to, this is an overview and summarized response that I can give.
This is our very first webinar, and we really didn't want to keep people longer than it's necessary.
Hello. Can I just ask a very quick question before you close?
Please make it quick, and also there's Trust who had your hand before you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly.
Okay, thank you. Are you hoping at some stage to patent this knowledge?
Sure, definitely. Issues of IP are very critical to us. We have already gone to the Intellectual Property Office to inquire how we can go about it, and we're in the process of patenting and registering our brands and also the knowledge that we are creating.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I wish to bring the meeting to close because we have gone beyond our time. In closing, let me just thank Dr. Taranika for a wonderful presentation, and you all audience for your participation and engagement. We've taken longer than we had planned, in part because of technological issues. But in closing, I want to bring your attention to the fact that the Ecohealth Africa chapter is really resuscitating. We've had a long COVID, but we've really now come out of COVID, and we want to bring you similar webinars. We are planning conferences in the near future. So I wish you all to watch the space. to frequent our websites so that you can see the lineup of activities that we have. I think it's important for us to let you know that presently we have made our membership free, so you can join Ecohealth International and be part of the Africa chapter without paying anything at the moment. And that is because we are recognizing that we are rebuilding and we are all coming out of a difficult COVID situation that only did not affect our association, but it also has affected even our countries. So we are presently using the resources of the institutions to which we belong, which are co-funding in terms of us using these technologies as we've taken this route. Our emphasis presently is in Southern Africa, and the reason we do that, it is because we are noting the similarities of the challenges that the Southern African countries are experiencing. So we'll grow the association initially from that end, and it is our intention and plan that the whole of Africa would also have access to and participation in a lot of the activities that we are going to be offering. So with that in mind, let me thank you, all of you. There is 32 of us so far here. I don't want us to lose people one by one. Let's bring the webinar to a close, but keep an eye open and frequent our websites. I'm quite certain that as Dr. Taranika was highlighting some of the challenges that the Integral Commercial is addressing, you could actually say these challenges are still in my backyard, and yet you are not in Zimbabwe. That shows the similarities that we have, and therefore the benefit we will have collectively when we work locally to make impact in very complex situations, but using methodologies that are interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary, and also that allow the community to take part. We don't do things for the communities, but we work with the communities. With those few words, thank you, Doc, for the presentation. Thank you, all participants here, and the board members of the Africa chapter, the Secretariat. Thank you so much for putting this work together. Let's keep looking into our website. We intend to bring these webinars almost every other month. We also want to bring you to the attention to the fact that we have the Earth Hug that's coming up in March. So we will let you know so that you can also join in from where you are to see what we are doing as an association, and in particular with regard to the Earth Hug, how our early career scientists are doing in that regard. Thank you so much. Let's call it a day. Thanks, bye.
Thank you. Prof, can I ask the executives of Africa chapter to remain online for a few minutes?
Yes, indeed.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm Professor Lambert from Lubumbashi. I'd also like to have more precision on that, about that organization working on environmental matters, if possible. More precision over it.